Joy Guru. I am Amalendu Chatterjee. I am an ex-associate professor and a SPR. If you like my content and deliberation, then kindly do subscribe to this channel of mine, namely Anukul Kotha, and I would also like to request you to comment and offer suggestions so that I can be enriched. Today, I would like to discuss about a very debatable question, and I would like to reach a logical conclusion of this question or of this debate. Now, it is said that whatever we do, is performed by the will of God. In other words, the underlying truth, in other words, the underlying idea regarding this statement is simply this: even if I do wrong, that is done by the will of God. In other words, God is responsible for my wrongdoings, for my misdeeds. This is more or less the idea. Now, in this connection, I would like to state one conversation between a disciple and Sri Thakur Anukul Kotha. One day, to be specific, on 9th January 1950, one Sarodda, his full name was Sarad Chandra Haldar. He was a professor in English. He was a very vastly learned person. He posed this question to Sri Thakur Anukul Kotha, that whatever we do is performed by the will of God. Isn't not the fact? Now, in this connection, I would like to say that there are as many as 23 volumes of conversational books of Sri Thakur Anukul Kotha. And I have seen that, many a times this Sarodda, did pose very many unpleasant questions. And at one point of time, I thought, what sort of disciple was he? That he always posed only the unpleasant questions. But now I must say that we are indebted to Sarodda, as because if he didn't pose such unpleasant questions, then we would not have got such, I should say, very invaluable answers from Sri Thakur Anukul Kotha. This question is one of such kind. Here, Sarodda has questioned to Sri Thakur Anukul Kotha that isn't not the fact that whatever we do is done, is performed, is effected by the will of God. Now, just listen the answer of Sri Thakur Anukul Kotha. He has stated, God has willfully given us free will. And yes, we do works, we do actions by the power of the willpower of God. But as He is independent, He is free, He is unrestricted, therefore He has made us free, independent and unrestricted. And He has given us the free will, and He never ever interferes, with the exercising of our free wills. And so therefore, whatever we do by exercising our free wills, we cannot hold God responsible for the consequences for our actions that we do by exercising our free wills. And lastly, we will have to we will have to enjoy, we will have to suffer for the consequences of the actions that we do, because we are the doers of such actions. After all, God is not the doer of such actions. So therefore, we will have to we will have to enjoy or suffer the consequences of our actions. And it would be a gross injustice if we hold God responsible for the consequences of our actions. This is the answer of Sri Thakur Anukul Kotha. I think this is the most logical conclusion of the entire debate. Now let us examine, let us analyze the answer of Sri Thakur Anukul Chandra. It has got certain facets, certain angles, certain very pertinent points. Number one, he has stated that God has willfully given free will to us. Why? Now it is said in the spiritual scriptures that initially God was one, but he wanted to test dalliance. In Bengali it is called Leela. But dalliance cannot be performed, cannot be achieved without the presence of another one. In other words, at least two, rather I should say, the importance of I has no value unless there is the presence of you. So therefore, he actually created his creations. And the unique feature of his creation is simply this, that no one is absolutely identical to another one. Why? The reason is that he would test the dalliance, and he has given free will to each and every entities of the world, of the whole universe. And I would like to say in this connection, even two inanimate objects are not absolutely identical. I will not go into the details about the matters. So anyway, but the matter is simply this, that God has willfully given free will to us. Because, you see, if it does not do this, then we would have complained that, just see, you have made us slaves. We are just dolls, and you are controlling us. You are controlling our dances. So therefore, we are not responsible for our activities, because you are actually remotely controlling all our activities. But God, we cannot blame God for this, because he has given absolute free will to us. So therefore, he has willfully given. And this is number one. So number two, so that we cannot complain. You see, we would like to say that I am independent, I am free, I would like to do whatever I like. Yes, God has stated, well, you do whatever you like. You must not hold me responsible for your activities. So that's the reason why God has willfully given willpower to us. Number two is that we do works, we do actions by the power of the willpower of God. Even when a murderer murders a person, and if he thinks that he has done it, then it is, I should say, it's not right, it's not proper, it's not correct. Even the bad works, bad deeds are performed, are achieved, are effected by the power of God, by the willpower of God. In other words, anything that happens, you see, is because of the power of God. We are so, you can say, in that respect, we are absolutely helpless. We say that we do it. We say that we have performed it. Yes, we have performed it, but everything is performed, everything is done by the power of God. This is another aspect. And here, I would like to state about a statement of Lord Ramakrishna Dev. Lord Ramakrishna Dev has stated that even a leaf of a tree cannot move without the will of God. And it's fact. Because even a leaf, we know that, let's say a leaf is trembling, a leaf is moving, it's not by his or her own strength. The strength is strength is God's strength. So therefore, this is you can say, the real statement. This is a real fact. And number three, that he has made us independent. As he is independent, as he is free, as he is unrestricted, he has made us independent, free and unrestricted. So that again, we cannot complain that we are rather slaves. No. He has made us absolutely independent, absolutely free. That's the reason why we can do whatever we like. You see? And next, that is, he never ever interferes with the exercise of our free wills. In other words, see that we are at liberty, we are at full liberty to exercise our free wills. God never interferes. See, such. And lastly, if whatever we do by exercising our free wills, if we hold God responsible for that, then it would be a sheer injustice, isn't it? Because we have done it. We have done such things. We have done such actions. And if we say that God is responsible for our actions, then it would be a gross injustice. Because of the fact that we are the doers of our actions. God is not the doer of our actions. We must remember this. We must bear this in mind, that God is not responsible. God is not the doer of our actions. We are the doers of our actions. So we will have to we would have to face, or we would have to enjoy or suffer for the consequences of our actions. We cannot hold God responsible for the consequence of our actions. Isn't it the fact? You see, in this connection, I would like to say that a person once asked Sri Thakur that, why does God, or you can say, why doesn't God prevent us from doing wrong works, from doing misdeeds, from doing dishonest deeds? Here, Sri Thakur Anukul Kotha has answered, just see, you are the son of your father. It's true, your father would be happy if you follow, if you obey his instructions. But the fact remains that you have all the liberty to follow him. Again, you have all the liberty to disobey him. It is under the sweet will of your free will. God never interferes with this. And so therefore, this is the fact. Same is the case with God also. If we follow the instructions that God has shown to us, then we would be prosperous, we would be happy, we would but if we do not follow, then definitely we will have to suffer for the consequences. It is as simple as that. But we cannot hold God responsible for our activities, because when we do wrongs, when we do misdeeds, then we used to say that it was not my intention to do misdeeds. You see, it has all happened because of the willpower of God, like that and this. Or even we used to say that, I intended to do good, but it all depends upon the will of God. In other words, there is a you can say there is a saying like this, that man proposes, God disproposes, or you can say like this and that. No, it is not the fact. You see, the fact remains that we do actions by the inspiration of our complexes. In this respect, I would like to say that we have 6 complexes, namely, desire, and then anger, lust, such and such. Calm, krodh, lobh, greed, such and such. And we are, in one way or another, obsessed with one or more than one complexes. So therefore, most of our actions, in other words, all actions are driven by the complexes. When let's say we want to do a good deed, but when in reality we approach to do good deeds, then one or more than one complexes would interfere you, would try to say that don't do this. Rather, you would get more pleasure, you would get more intense pleasure if you do misdeeds, if you do bad deeds. Then sometimes we are driven by the obsession of one or more complexes, and we do misdeeds, we do dishonest deeds, we do wrongful deeds. And for that, if I say that God is responsible for my wrongdoing, then it would be a gross injustice. As a matter of fact, God, as He never interferes with the free will. That's the reason why God is watching that we are doing. You see, whether we are doing things, by, you can say, by the influence of the obsession of complexes, or we have the ability to overcome the obsession of complexes. When we do things, when we do deeds, overcoming or ignoring the obsession of complexes, then He definitely pleases. There is no doubt about it. God is happy when we can overcome, when we can ignore the obsession of one or more complexes. But when we cannot, when we are driven by, you can say, by the obsession of complexes, and we commit wrongful deeds, misdeeds, then God is definitely, definitely, I should say, God would not be happy for that. Yes, God is unhappy, but for that God is helpless. He cannot do anything, because it is his principle that He would never interfere, with our free will. As He is free, as He is independent, as He is unrestricted, so therefore He has made us completely free, independent and unrestricted. And He is watching, what we are doing. So, in conclusion, I would like to say that that people used to say that man proposes, God disproposes, like this and this, or that it is for anything that is done by people, is done by the will of God. This is in a way true, in the sense that any work is done or effected by the power of the will of God, that's for sure. But when we do some works, and for that we do works, you can say, driven by the obsession of complexes, and we hold God responsible for that, it is definitely sheer injustice. Because for that I am responsible. If I do some wrongs, if I do misdeeds, if I do, wrongful, I should say, dishonest deeds, for that I am responsible. God cannot be responsible for that, because I am the doer of that particular action. God is not the doer of that particular action. So therefore it would be, so I think the logical conclusion is simply this, that yes, every action is done, is performed, is effected by the power of the will, by the power of the willpower of God, that's for sure. But the misdeeds, the wrongful deeds, the dishonest deeds that we perform, that we do, is not done by, you can say, by the will of God. It is done by the will of ourselves. Because He has given us free will. And by exercising our free wills, when we do things, when we do actions driven by the obsession of complexes, and if we hold God responsible for that, then it is definitely sheer injustice, because we are the doers of our actions. So we would be held responsible for our actions. So therefore we would have to enjoy, we will have to suffer for the consequences of our actions. So therefore we must not blame God, for our misdeeds. So this is I think this is the logical conclusion. At least it is my humble submission. So live in love, joy.